That's disgusting. I'm ashamed of you right now. Can't you see how much pain we're in? What makes you think we wouldn't have been happy? That we won't be happy? How could you talk about Lily as if she's already dead?
You'd be better off if she dies. In fact, I'm disappointed that Chelsea didn't pass away with her. It certainly would have saved you the trouble.
You need to leave. If you're not out of here in 30 seconds, I'm calling security. Don't bother visiting again.
My name is Chelsea. I should start by saying that I didn't want it to end the way it did. In fact, if I could remove this entire series of events from my life, I would. The only thing that I would want back would be my baby boy. At the time, I was 28 years old and worked at a hotel as a receptionist. I had been married for a few years, and my husband, Richard, would bring me lunch in the afternoon. We had been trying for a kid for a long time, and we had just started an experimental treatment recommended by our doctor. Our family was ecstatic. Everybody was excited for a new addition to the family, and both of our parents couldn't wait to be grandparents. When I finally found out that I was pregnant, I planned a massive reveal party in the lobby of the hotel for when my husband came to visit. However, much to my surprise, he had decided to bring my mother-in-law Helen along to visit. I surprised him anyways, and my boss brought out cake for us to celebrate. My mother-in-law was more than excited and jumped for joy.
Congratulations, you guys! I can't believe I finally get to be a grandmother. Do you have a due date yet?
Not yet. I just found out yesterday. I'll be going to the doctor to see when the expected due date will be within the next week or so.
When do we find out if it'll be a boy or not?
Probably not for another few months. The baby needs time to develop still. What makes you think it'll be a boy?
It's always a boy. Boys are better, and girls can easily become only fangirls. I don't want that. Our family only ever makes boys. Plus, we need to have an heir to carry on the family name.
I'm hoping for a daughter. I think being a girl mom and playing dress-up or anything else would be very fun. I would love a boy too.
I doubt it'll be a girl. I think you should start picking out boy names now. That way, you can have something decided in time for the baby shower.
Well, I guess we'll find out. I didn't find it weird at the time. I didn't like that my mother-in-law was there for the reveal, since I wanted something more private with Richard. But I've never had any bad blood with his parents either. It wasn't until later that it started annoying me. Over the following weeks, she would send me her selection of boy names and start buying boys' clothing. We warned her that if it was a girl, then she would have wasted her money, but she didn't listen. We wrote it off as one of her hidden quirks and continued on with our lives. We were excited to finally have the family we dreamed of. Of course, when we found out it was going to be a girl, we were immediately in love. We chose the name Lily, after the Lillian Cafe where we had met, and told the rest of the family. His mother was furious after finding this out and called us instantly.
Of course it's a girl. I should have known you would ruin it.
Excuse me?
We could have had another beautiful baby boy, but instead you had to poison it. No wonder it took you so long to conceive. God must have been stopping you from destroying our family.
What are you talking about? How dare you talk to me like that? This is our child, and you should love her no matter what her gender is.
You don't understand. We needed a boy to carry on the family name, and instead you give us a useless girl.
Richard stood by and didn't say anything. After I hung up, he tried to comfort me, but I pushed him off. I couldn't believe he didn't defend our daughter, and I, to his mother. I was angry and upset and left the room. Afterwards, we made up and talked it out. He explained that his mother had always loved the idea of having a son, but he never knew she would go this far. He was more stunned than anything by her reaction, which is why he took so long to act. We decided that, moving forward, we wouldn't tell her anything about the pregnancy. All of the information she gathered was from other family members or friends, and we would know she found out, as she would text us as soon as she did. I stopped looking at the hate-filled messages and passing it off to my husband to respond. The months went by and my stomach grew. I was able to get maternity leave from my work so that I could spend the first 8 months with my newborn. I hosted a baby shower with my friends, which Helen attempted to crash, but the security kicked her out. Helen began making passive-aggressive posts to social media, making wide claims about what a family should be and how horrible wives can ruin things. Richard told her to take them down, but she claimed that if I was relating to the posts, then maybe I had some introspection to do.
I told you, she just gets weird about these sorts of things. I'm sure it's nothing personal. She liked you before.
But now I'm the mother to her grandchild, and to your child. It's not going to go back to how it was before. What if she stays like this? What if she never stops making these comments, and our daughter has to grow up hearing how much her grandmother hates her?
Don't think like that. I'm sure that it will be fine. And as soon as she lays eyes on her, she'll forget all about it. After all, who can hate a face with a nose like yours?
Oh, stop. Yeah, you're right. Maybe I am just overthinking everything. I just want to know it'll all be okay.
It will be. I promise.
2 weeks before the due date, I woke up in contractions. Richard and I raced out to the car, drove to the hospital, and quickly found ourselves situated in a delivery room. The nurse said that we had gotten there just in time. The baby was turned around the wrong way inside me and was having a hard time entering the birth canal. We opted for an emergency C-section to make sure the baby wouldn't suffocate. Within a few hours, the baby was delivered. I was allowed to hold Lily for a minute before she was passed into one of those incubation baskets. The doctors needed to run some checks on her to make sure she was healthy. I passed out from the myriad of drugs in my system and the weight of delivering a baby pressing down on me. My husband was by my side. When I woke up from the nap, the doctor delivered the bad news. The baby had been without oxygen for too long and wasn't doing well. They were going to keep her in emergency care and do everything they could. I was devastated and collapsed into tears. Helen arrived at the hospital soon after. Richard stepped out into the hallway to explain, but I could hear them clearly through the door.
That's what she gets. Call it karma or what have you, but at least the problem is solved.
Mom, don't talk like that. That's horrible. We might lose our daughter.
Now you can try for a son. This is a blessing, don't you see? The way it was meant to be.
It took us 3 years before we finally were able to have a child. What makes you think that we can do it again so easily?
It's always been that way. Hopefully she'll have learned her lesson and heal quickly. You'll have another chance to have even more kids. Wouldn't you be happier with a boy?
That's disgusting. I'm ashamed of you right now. Can't you see how much pain we're in? What makes you think we wouldn't have been happy? That we won't be happy? How could you talk about Lily as if she's already dead?
You'd be better off if she dies. In fact, I'm disappointed that Chelsea didn't pass away with her. It certainly would have saved you the trouble.
You need to leave. If you're not out of here in 30 seconds, I'm calling security. Don't bother visiting again.
Richard entered the room again, and just before the door closed, I could see Helen walking away. I was disgusted, disturbed, tired, and more. I just wanted to go home, to bring my daughter home. We were another week in the hospital before Lily was cleared. She had responded extremely well to treatment and didn't seem to have many lasting effects. We still brought her back to the hospital once a week to make sure she was improving, and it seemed to be going well. Helen tried to visit a few more times, but Richard had refused her at the door. When his dad tried to argue with him to let them see their grandchild, he told them that this was no grandchild of theirs, and that they shouldn't come by anymore. Sure enough, we saw them less and less over the following year. Helen would occasionally make a social media post full of vitriol, but even those became easy to block out. Our happy family grew, we celebrated many milestones, and I returned to work as well. Richard decided to stay at home with the baby, and I got a promotion at my job as well, so I could take care of the family. On Lily's second birthday, we found out his grandmother had breast cancer that was threatening to spread through her chest. She had desperately wanted to apologize and wanted us to come back into her life. We refused, even against multiple family members reaching out to apologize on her behalf. We're entering 3 years since we saw her last, and we couldn't be happier with Lily never knowing that horrible woman. We don't feel bad about it. In fact, I find it almost an ironic karmic justice. By her rejecting her granddaughter for not being a boy, she had also lost her son. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. The next week, Jacob continued to be cruel and provided more than enough ammunition against himself.
I was thinking about giving you a very important case, but unfortunately, it would require a lawyer that was willing to stand up for their convictions.
Excuse me? Honestly, Jacob, Why do you keep saying such hurtful puns?
Oh? Did I hurt your feelings? I figured that since you are only half a person, that maybe you had thicker skin. Honestly, I figured you would have quit by now. I mean, who has ever heard of a lawyer that was in a wheelchair? You make this whole firm look pathetic. Why don't you just quit already? Why must you insist on trying to force us to treat an invalid and useless person like yourself as an equal?
Because I am an equal, Jacob. I'm a human being, damn it. And you have no right to treat me like this.
Of course I do, because I'm normal and you're just a freak. So what are you going to do about it? Complain to Human Resources?
No, I'm going to sue the pants off of you.
Ha! If you do, the firm will just protect me. It will be you versus the rest of the firm. I would like to see you try.
Hi there, my name is Gloria, and I'm 28 years old. I have been working at the same law firm for a few years now, but it's been a bit of a bumpy road. I had always known that it would be hard to prove myself to be a competent lawyer, but I had never thought that it would be as hard as it has been. It wasn't the cases, though, that have been the most challenging. It's the senior partner that I work under. I should probably explain a little, though. You see, I was born without the ability to use my legs and have been forced to use a wheelchair my whole life. Honestly, it never bothered me. After all, it's the only life I have ever known, and I never let it slow me down. I have done all the normal things most people do, like learn how to drive a car, go to prom, and have even participated in marathons as well. I may be different, but I have never used it as an excuse to hold me back from doing whatever it is that I set my mind to. However, when I joined the firm, I was assigned to work under Jacob. He was a senior partner, and when we first met, he seemed impressed with me. But that was because we met during a sit-down meeting, and as we were wrapping up the meeting, Jacob saw that I was in a wheelchair, and he made a sour expression. I knew instantly that my disability was going to be a problem with him. From that point on, he always made a point of saying things that were very inappropriate.
Hey, Gloria, can you run this paperwork down to the second floor? Oh, what am I saying? I guess I should find someone that can actually run.
Jacob, I can take that paperwork down there for you.
Oh, thank you, Gloria. You are such a team player. Having a positive attitude like that will really give you a leg up in this firm.
The way he would smile when he would say such things was always so incredibly annoying. The worst thing about it, though, was that the lead of the Human Resources Department was a very good friend of Jacob's. So even when I would file complaints against him, they would go unheard. It was incredibly infuriating, but I didn't feel like I could do anything about it. After all, I was only a junior member of the firm, and I felt that if I left the firm, that I would have nearly an impossible time finding a position in another firm. And so I decided that I just had to put up with the abuse. At least for the time being. And so for years, I had to put up with Jacob being a jerk. However, not only was he cruel with his remarks about me and my disability, but he also constantly made a point of giving more high-profile cases to other lawyers. He always picked the most mundane and silly cases for me, such as a client that wanted to sue the local meteorologist for always guessing the weather incorrectly, or the man that wanted to sue a restaurant because he didn't think their all-you-could-eat buffet had enough food in it. It felt very depressing, but thankfully I found ways to make myself happy. My favorite outlet was a local charity that helped children with disabilities to feel more comfortable and involved in the community. The volunteers would speak with the children and help them to feel less alone and more confident that they too could make something of themselves despite their disabilities. My favorite was to show the children that were in wheelchairs that they too could participate in marathons or really do the majority of the same things that most people could. I would hold races with the children, and of course I would let them win from time to time so that they felt empowered. It was at one of these events that I met Sasha. She was such a sweet girl, and like me, she had been born without the ability to use her legs. She took an instant liking to me, and we got along wonderfully. After the event was over, I was talking with her while she waited for her parents to pick her up. When a very expensive luxury car pulled up, and out of it stepped one of the founding members of the law firm that I worked at. He and his two brothers had started the law firm years before, and as it turned out, he was Sasha's father.
Hello there. My Sasha has had so many wonderful things to say about you, but you look very familiar. Don't you work for my law firm?
Yes, sir, I do. I work under Jacob.
Oh, that's a shame. That man is such a half-wit. Be honest. What do you think of him?
At first, I wanted to be coy and say that he was a pleasure to work under, but I stopped myself short and decided that this was my chance to get the truth out about him. After all, if the owner of the firm didn't do anything about his toxic behavior, then who would? Especially one that had a daughter that also had a disability. Honestly, sir, he says a lot of very inappropriate things about my disability.
He does? Why haven't you gone to Human Resources to file a formal complaint about such disgusting behavior?
I have, sir. That's the problem. Jacob is best friends with the man that runs the Human Resources department. Every time I have filed a complaint, it just gets brushed under the rug. And as a result, Jacob just keeps making fun of me and uses my disability to give me the worst cases. Other people have been hired after me and have been promoted ahead of me because he refuses to reward me at all.
That will not do. Gloria, I promise that will make this right. Honestly, I've been looking for a reason to let that idiot go, and this gives me a great idea.
Sasha's father's idea was to record all my interactions with Jacob for the next 2 weeks, and for us to use that when he let him go. He even suggested that I should sue him for harassment and discrimination. After all, Jacob would be under the impression that the firm would have his back, but that simply would not be the case, and when he found out, it would be all the sweeter. The next week, Jacob continued to be cruel and provided more than enough ammunition against himself.
I was thinking about giving you a very important case, but unfortunately, it would require a lawyer that was willing to stand up for their convictions.
Excuse me? Honestly, Jacob? Why do you keep saying such hurtful puns?
Oh? Did I hurt your feelings? I figured that since you are only half a person, that maybe you had thicker skin. Honestly, I figured you would have quit by now. I mean, who has ever heard of a lawyer that was in a wheelchair? You make this whole firm look pathetic. Why don't you just quit already? Why must you insist on trying to force us to treat an invalid and useless person like yourself as an equal?
Because I am an equal, Jacob. I'm a human being, damn it. And you have no right to treat me like this.
Of course I do, because I'm normal and you're just a freak. So what are you going to do about it? Complain to Human Resources?
No. I'm going to sue the pants off of you.
Ha! If you do, the firm will just protect me. It will be you versus the rest of the firm. I would like to see you try. No, Jacob. It would be the other way around. Gloria would have the firm defending her, while it is you that would be all alone.
Sasha's father had chosen that moment to appear, and by the look on his face, it was clear that he was about to put Jacob in his place, and I was relishing the moment.
I'm saying that I've been waiting for a reason to get rid of you. You're a terrible lawyer, and the way that you have treated Gloria and the way that you have wrangled in your friend and Human Resources will not stand. Both of you are fired immediately. Now clean out your desk. I want you gone before the end of the day, or I will have you charged with trespassing and have you arrested on top of everything.
True to his word, both Jacob and his friend were indeed fired and were later lead out by security. In the weeks that followed, both men attempted to file wrongful dismissal claims, but once the recording of our last conversation was played in front of court, the judge dismissed their claims. The same recording was later played in court again when I sued both Jacob and his friend for the ways that they discriminated and harassed me. With the help of several lawyers, I was able to prove my case, and both men were ordered to pay me $100,000 each for the years of pain and suffering that they caused me and for the way they had held my career back. The money was wonderful, of course, and it helped me to finally buy a house. But the greater victory was finally having Jacob and his degenerate friend face consequences for the abuse that they had subjected me to. After they were fired, both men had a very hard time getting another job. No law firm wanted to hire them, and the last I heard, both were forced to get jobs working at a car dealership washing the cars. They barely made minimum wage, and the few times that I saw them, they looked very disheveled and rather sickly. Almost as if losing six-figure salaries and being forced to do manual labor nearly killed them. Also, I heard Jacob's wife filed for a divorce and wants custody of their son. I can imagine how depressed he is. As for me, Sasha's father ended up promoting me and made me a partner in the firm. I was finally able to show how good of a lawyer I was, and I was given some very high-profile cases that really helped me to prove my worth to the firm. So you could say that things have really taken a turn for the better for me. I've also started mentoring Sasha, and she plans on becoming a lawyer as well, which has made her father even more proud of her. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and leave a comment down below saying I subscribed, and we will try our best to reply to your comment.